Hello, welcome to another episode of our live stream, My Journey to the Trinity. My name's Hussein. Happy to be with you. Happy you could be with me. Hope you're having a good day. Welcome, Tiger. Welcome, Abla. Welcome, daughter, Galatians. The Lord bless you all. And I just wanted to kind of look at part two of the Daniel Haqiqaju, Sheikh Tawhidi debate, just because this thing is like solid gold, man. This thing is like, um, seriously, Haqiqatu is, dude, I can't believe, yeah, that's how I was going to spell his name. I'm sure I'm not the first one to come up with that. So see how, Haqiqatu, let's hope he comes to the truth in Jesus' name. So, yeah, uh, let me just play a little bit of the video of and then um, I'm gonna comment on some stuff. There's quite a few things in here that just blew me away. I was listening to it today, and you know what? This isn't. I thought this was new, but it's not really new. But it's still very pertinent, and so. All right. Let me go ahead and play a little bit of it, and then we can. It's called Islam Unboxed. So, okay.
Obligatory
This is Pod 5, the first fully immersive sleep system built to give you all
act, and this is in the chapter of Zakat, made it an obligatory act for everyone to pay Zakat, to pay charity to the Caliph. And this is in Al-Bukhari, the obligatory charity tax, Zakat, and this is hadith number 1399 to 1400. Now, when we take a look at, for example, Abu Bakr said, by Allah, I will fight those who differentiate between prayer and zakat. Zakat meaning the charity. Zakat is the compulsory right to be taken from the property of regular Muslims. And if they refuse to pay, even a shikid, which they used to pay at the time of the Messenger of Allah, I will fight them for it. And then he did. He fought, for example, if you take a look at the Ridda Wars, the Wars of Apostasy. We have an entire book called the Ridda Wars. I will quote the references in English. Kitab al-Ridda by al-Waqidi, 1990.
Okay. This is kind of interesting, right?
By Muslims are.
This is kind of interesting, and it's now I have cousins named Khalid and Walid, and so you know that they were named after this guy Khalid bin Walid. It's quite often, in Muslim families, one thing you'll find is when there are several kids, quite often you'll see who the family kind of is attracted to. One of the most common combination of names is usually Muhammad, Ahmed, Mahmoud. Okay. Those are usually the three names that they like. If they have three sons, that'll be a three name, very common that it'll be those three. Muhammad, Ahmed, Mahmoud are all from the same root word, hamd, which is praise. And then if there's more kids, they'll call them Hamad and Hamdi and Hamidi. It's all. But or it would be like in my grandfather's case, there was Hassan, Hassan, Hussein, Hassan, Hassan, Hussein, Husni, Muhsin. So and then another combination is like with my father and his brothers, which is Musa, which is my father, Isa, Yusuf, and which is the names of the main prophets. So there, quite often you'll see this pattern in Muslim families that will name their kids after those different names. So anyway, but one of my uncles, his name was Ahmed. He actually named his two sons, one Khalid and one Walid. And Khalid and Walid are it was actually one man. He was called Khalid bin Walid. And this guy was, he was a piece of work. And so they're talking about him right here. So let's just listen a little bit to what is being said.
Yeah.
No.
Because
they cooked the head.
Let's finish 5 and then you have 5, yeah.
To pay at the time of the message of Allah, I will fight them for it. And then he did. He fought, for example, if you take a look at the Ridda Wars, the Wars of Apostasy. We have an entire book called the Ridda Wars. I will quote the references in English. Kitab al-Ridda by al-Waqidi, 1990, printed, page 107 to 108. And then we have a huge amount of references, which I can send to you and to the viewers. We can link them. And I'm keeping my eye on the time. So this incident took place. What took place was Abu Bakr wanted the Muslims to take tax. The Muslims did not wish to pay tax. Some who did not believe in his caliphate, which the Muslims believe the Prophet had appointed, who said, after me is Abu Bakr. So it's all divine. The prophecy of Muhammad was divine. The appointment of Abu Bakr, according to mainstream Islam, was divine. This divine appointed caliph, by the words of the Prophet, that the Quran says does not utter from his own self. It is only the words of Allah. This appointed caliph, and also the father-in-law of Muhammad, went and ordered Khalid ibn al-Walid to kill a man called Malik ibn Nuwaira. And they killed him. And they raped his wife in the same night. And they cooked his head. And it's all quoted. I have right here Islamic sources, evidences.
Where in Bukhari
all
does
of
it say
them.
cooked?
I did not say, I said Kitab al-Waqidi. These are major, gigantic sources in Islam. If you want to reject them, you can reject. I'll show you.
Let's just focus on what we agree on.
No.
Because
they cooked the head.
Let's finish 5 and then you have 5, yeah.
They cooked the head and they raped his wife. And while you're speaking, I'm going to bring them out again. These are more than just one references. This is an agreed upon. In fact, even Umar ibn al-Khattab wanted to kill him for doing that. Do you disagree that Umar wanted to do that?
He will start in 5 and when your time is
The
up.
point is, in my last 30 seconds, the point is, this is not one incident. We can ignore this. What about all the others? They killed them beheaded. You cannot separate between Islam, which is this, and what the people do. Abu Bakr and the Prophet are not just any people for you to say they don't represent Islam.
So before I start your time, can you also maybe tie this into saying whether Islam endorses violence and that's justified as well?
That's a very big topic.
You want
Let's have a separate 5 minutes for
okay,
that.
so separate 5.
First of all, so I'm going to talk about this incident that you described. What I denied was not what you described from Sahih Bukhari. Okay. First of all, ISIS has been denounced by Muslims around the world, all scholars across sects.
I just want to say there's one group that has not denounced ISIS, and that's Al-Azhar University. They have not denounced ISIS. Okay, but
Yeah, Sunni, they have all denounced ISIS. The only and have been.
they have not. They have not. Believe me, and they may do it in front of. They may do it in front of CNN. They'll do it on CNN, and they'll do it when they're trying to get money from Donald Trump. Okay, but in reality, I've been with them behind the scenes. They don't condemn ISIS. There's a relative of mine, let me just say, who said, I asked him, if he goes and prays at the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. And he said, I won't go pray there until it has the ISIS flag on top of it.
Announced ISIS's claim to be following Islam correctly. Only white supremacists,
You know what? The more I listen to this guy, the more I think, you know what? He's just somebody he was born and raised in America. He's learned the American victimization narrative that they learn at America's universities. And he has mastered those words and applying them: imperialism, white supremacy, bigotry, Islamophobia, all these words that he learns at Harvard University. And now he's just applying them to Islam. And so
nationalists, Islamophobes, and apparently Imam Tawhidi think that ISIS has some kind of normative connection with Islam. So that's point number one. Point number two, yes, Khalid ibn Walid, a great general, the greatest general in Muslim history and also in world history, did kill Malik ibn Nuwayra. And
it's so funny. I mean, Khalid ibn Walid, you see the Sheikh Tawhidi is laughing. I mean, he just said what the guy did. He killed the guy and cut off his head, cooked it, and raped his wife the same night. And what did Daniel Haqiqaju say about him?
ISIS's claim to be following Islam correctly. Only white supremacists, white nationalists, Islamophobes, and apparently Imam Tawhidi think that ISIS has some kind of normative connection with Islam. So
Yes.
that's point number one. Point number two, yes, Khalid ibn Walid, a great general, the greatest general in Muslim history and
The greatest general in Muslim history. And he did that. And that's the greatest general. Can you believe that?
also in world history.
In world history, mashallah, yeah, boy, yeah.
Did kill Malik ibn Nuwayra, and he did this for reasons that he had in this time of the instability and war.
According to historicals such as Tariq Tabari, Khadim Ali killed Malik bin Nuwayra due to treasonous acts of war from Malik. Okay, now this is what Daniel Haqiqaju says. Okay, I don't believe this, which included allying with local tribes to attack young Muslim community in Medina. As general of the Muslim army, Khalid made the decision to execute Malik in betrayal. Right. You know, the reason you get these is because apparently later on, after the debate, Daniel wrote these comments, and the host put them in. So,
did I interrupt you and call you a liar in the middle of?
I didn't.
it's worth watching the way.
And
It was not
Omar,
5 minutes.
Omar, peace be, radiallahu anhu, may God be pleased with him,
Peace be upon Allah, Allah be pleased.
disputed his decision making on killing this particular figure, and so that it's possible for caliphs.
So Umar bin al-Khattab said he shouldn't have been killed. So with all that justification that Haqiqaju went after, saying that he committed treason and all this stuff, and yet Umar bin al-Khattab said he shouldn't have been killed.
And the Sahaba, the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, to disagree and for them to make mistakes. There's no question about that. As for rape, I mean, this is a very inflammatory thing that you're saying. Cooking his head, this is all Shia sources who are
Sunni sources.
No, they're
Don't
not
lie.
Sunni sources.
Okay, no,
I'm
don't
not
lie.
We have to let
Please
him,
don't
Sunni
interrupt.
sources.
no,
While I'm
let him,
talking.
let him
Yes,
Don't
right.
interrupt. I've only spoken for a
Don't
minute and a
accuse me
half,
of
and
lying.
you're already
Yeah.
interrupted.
Don't accuse me of lying.
Yeah, I am accusing
Don't
you
say
of
Shia
misrepresenting.
sources.
guys,
I am
we
accusing
agreed
you of
we're going to do this
misrepresenting.
format.
But don't say Shia sources, because that makes me a liar.
Did I
have Sunni
interrupt you
sources.
and call you a liar in the
But
middle of
I
your
didn't insult
discussion?
you either. I did not insult you by saying
I
Shia sources.
just said it wasn't in Sunni sources. So
It is in Sunni
you're calling me a
sources.
liar by saying
Guys,
isn't
guys,
Sunni
don't
sources.
interrupt.
Okay, guys,
It is in
on,
Sunni
let's-
sources.
guys, let
Yes,
let
move
him.
on. Don't say Shia sources. You
No,
say Shia means I'm a
There's a
liar.
disagreement. He's not saying you're
It
right.
is
Let's
Sunni
focus-
sources.
let's
Okay,
focus
you did not
this-
establish that was in Sunni
I
sources.
Let's
Al-Wahidi,
let him finish.
you-
Let him
You
finish
read
his
the
argument.
hadith from
Al-Baladari.
Sahih Bukhari.
Guys, we have so
You read
many
the
things we need
narration
to
from
touch on.
Sahih Bukhari, and I addressed that.
Continue.
Continue. Now let's not interrupt. Okay, let's not interrupt each other. Even
Continue.
if the worst, even if the other side says the
All right,
worst thing.
continue.
Okay, good.
Right. So this is something that's not in Sahih sources, Sunni sources, and even the Shia sources. I have to go look. I'm not an expert in Shia Islam to be able to judge that. but it wouldn't be surprising if there were these kinds of polemics against the Sunni caliphs. But I don't disagree that Khalid ibn Walid did kill this individual, and Abu Bakr was approving of this, and Omar disagreed with this. Khalid ibn Walid did go on to marry the wife of that person that he killed, and this was seen as by Omar, and he expressed this as something that shouldn't have been done. So yeah, there can be disagreements amongst the companions of the Prophet, and this is something that's recognized and acknowledged within Sunni theology. Again, this is you mentioned the Ridda Wars. This is a time of extreme political unrest within the history of Islam, and Khalid ibn Walid made choices and decisions that he needed to make within that context, and he was supported by the first caliph, and the second caliph who succeeded Abu Bakr disagreed with his methodology, and that's fine. There's nothing that's wrong with that. We see those kinds of decisions being made in wartime scenarios within every tradition and community and culture. To point to this and say that this is
to point to this, why not point to this? This is just to show you what kind of a person he was. He killed the guy, cooked his head, and then married his wife, or didn't marry her, had sex with her that same day. Oops. No, that's not what I meant to do. I just wanted to show you guys. I want to show you guys. Okay. Here's one from Imam Nawawi. Nawawi is one of the top commentators, like of the commentaries, like Ibn Kathir and all of those guys, Qurtubi. Well, this guy, Sheikh Nawawi, very famous commentator, exegete of Quran. And this is what he says, okay? It is said that the hair of Malik made the fire work until the flesh of the pot had matured, and the hair was not emptied for its multitude. I could not, okay? As you know, the fire, when it approached to the hair, the fire eat it immediately after touching it. The hair of Malik made the fire work until the flesh of the pot had matured. How can it be possible? Cooking the flesh using the hair of someone? Impossible. The hair will be consumed by the fire. Okay. So this is what Imam Nawawi is saying. So this is a real thing. He really did cook the guy's head and then rape his wife. Well, Abla, how do I say this? Abla's asking a guy why cook his head. I'm trying to be really diplomatic about that. But, people get hungry. And so, they needed to eat. People need to eat. And so, yeah.
The reason why we have ISIS, I mean, that's preposterous.
Let's listen.
First caliph and the second caliph who succeeded Abu Bakr disagreed with his methodology, and that's fine. There's nothing that's wrong with that.
That's fine. That's fine. It's fine. They took the guy's head, cooked him, and then raped his wife.
See those kinds of
there's disagreement. That's fine.
Decisions being made in wartime scenarios within every tradition and community. And
you see, that's the way that they, whenever you tell them, Aisha was 6 years old, what do they immediately say? Rebecca was 3 and Mary was 11 or 9 or something, and here he is now. He's and this is very Islamic because Allah does this in the Quran too. Remember when Muhammad got the satanic verses? What did Allah say to him? He says, "Oh, it's okay, Muhammad. Don't feel bad, because there's never been a messenger except that when he desired, Satan cast into." So he just spread the blame and the filth onto all the rest of the prophets. So that's what Daniel Haqiqaju is there, blaming all.
And culture, to point to this and say that this is the reason why we have ISIS, I mean, that's preposterous.
It's not preposterous. It's the truth.
That's all Muslims are reading these same sources. I'm not going.
No, they're not. Most Muslims don't read Arabic.
Around and killing people and beheading them for no reason. So this is just inflammatory. You're repeating the kinds of statements that we find from Islamophobes and white supremacists,
Okay.
which you seem to have an affiliation with. So,
Okay.
Guys, we need to move on to different topics.
No, I'm gonna stick on this because I need to prove that I'm not a liar.
Do you want to stick on this topic, or do you want to move on?
I have to
I
prove
didn't come here to debate the details.
What I
of
suggest we do.
Sunni
I have
make
to
a suggestion.
prove
Shia
myself.
polemics.
I want to prove that I'm not a liar.
Okay.
Is this time over?
Okay. Well, okay. 5-minute response, and then after this we'll
Move to
on.
any topic.
How can we move on if I can't respond to him calling me a liar?
But
Okay.
then it will be
This
forever.
is- we
guys.
we can.
Okay, guys, we have to. We have other.
They call
topics.
me supremacist, affiliated with supremacists, white supremacists,
How about this?
Islamophobe. Let me
We
respond.
can talk about that. Let's talk about white supremacy.
No,
Let's
let
talk
me
about
respond.
Islamophobia. Let's
me
talk about
respond.
colonialism.
Okay, how
I
about
want
this?
to talk
Why
about
don't
that.
you let me respond?
How about this? How about this?
Why won't you let me speak?
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna 5 minutes and then 5-minute response, and then we'll move away from this.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
5 minutes and then 5 minutes you respond. Then we'll move away. Different topic. Okay.
Got it.
Tariq al-Tabari. One of the, if not the most
Sheikh Tawhidi, one of the biggest historic books.
authentic Islamic source on history. Volume 10, The Conquest of Arabia, page 104. Tariq al-Tabari. Take it out on your phone and you can follow up with from Sunni sources. Giant Sunni theologian historian says Khalid ibn al-Walid used to excuse himself from killing Malik on the grounds that Malik had said when he was interrogating him, I think your companion was only saying such and such. Khalid said, and why didn't you reckon him a companion of yours? Then he made him come forward and struck off his head.
Let me guess. You're thinking about going to therapy. And as a therapist myself, of course I'm going to say that's a great idea. But first, let's talk about the things they
Sorry,
don't tell
guys.
you. First of all, you're going to say,
Who? Khalid ibn al-Walid and those of his companions. Then, when Umar ibn al-Khattab learned of their murder, he spoke of it with Abu Bakr the Caliph repeatedly, saying the enemy of God has done what? Has become an apostate. Who? Malik, against a Muslim man, killing him, and then leaping upon his wife, not waiting and then ending up to marry her like you said. He cut off his head and he leaped upon his wife and he killed her. This is one part of the incident from Tariq al-Tabari. I'll
Where
bring
did
more
he say
sources.
killed her?
No,
He-
wait, 5
He
minutes.
raped her. Sorry, he raped her. He killed Malik and he raped his wife. وَنَزَى عَلَى إِمْرَأَتِهِ. This is what the Arabic sources say. He raped her. And even if he wanted to marry her, he has to wait 4 months and 10 days for the blood cycle. You know the Islamic ruling. Do not lie.
Let's not accuse each other of lying.
And
Maybe
this
we-
man, you just praised this man. You just praised him. The greatest general. Did he not praise him? You praised this terrorist.
Okay, so he can respond now.
Respond whatever you want to say.
Okay, respond, and then after this, we're moving to a different topic. Okay.
All right. So number one, you read a translation.
It's exact, certified,
No.
don't lie.
Okay, let's
Certified translation.
Let's not
You
interrupt.
are making lies.
Oh my God.
Look,
Certified from your
if I can
books.
speak, I can clarify.
Don't
what I mean
lie.
by
Do not defend terrorists.
Okay,
Tabari,
Let
okay,
him speak
This
for-
is a
let him
known
speak 5
point.
minutes
Of
without
this.
interruption.
I'm not disagreeing that Khalid ibn Walid killed this person.
Good.
That's not where the disagreement. I'm not disagreeing that this was a beheading. Again, I'm not disagreeing with those historical facts. To say that he raped him, that's a point of Shia Sunni divergence and disagreement.
It's not
Because-
Shia Sunni.
no, let
It's not Shia Sunni.
him finish.
He's fooling you.
Let him.
It's not Shia Sunni. They're Sunni between themselves, killing each other.
Let him finish. This is his time now.
Finish.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we can talk about this in a very calm way. We don't need to get upset.
Of
This
course,
is
you-
something.
you're
I
praising
think-
a terrorist.
Let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish.
Yeah, I mean, Khalid ibn Walid. I named one of my sons after Khalid.
Yeah,
ibn Walid.
good luck to your
Yeah.
son. He should
So
sue you.
anyway, this is something that is a point of disagreement between Shias and Sunnis. In their polemics, Shia accuse Khalid ibn Walid of just not going through the waiting period before marrying his wife. Sunnis maintain that no, he waited through the waiting period
No, they did not.
before
Let him finish, let him
marrying.
finish.
So it wasn't a rape.
It was a rape. He
It
leaped
was-
on his wife. You say he
Please.
leaped.
Yeah,
Tariq Tabari.
this is just
Please.
Shia
Oh,
polemics.
please.
Oh, Tabari is Shia.
Come.
Tabari sorts sites from many different sources. It doesn't mean that's authentic.
It's not
or that it's
certified by the
verified.
Sunni.
If you want to find narrations in
Okay,
Tabari,
guys,
yes,
we need
Tabari
to-
is,
we need to have
is
some
a Sunni Muslim, but
All
he
right.
cites from many different sources
All right, this
without that necessarily being
we're
authentic.
ending this.
It's
We're
a point
ending
of
this.
disagreement.
We're ending this topic. We're moving to the next one. We're moving to the next
So
one.
Lie through your teeth.
How is
We're
that
moving-
fair that he gets to speak for
No, you
5
spoke for
minutes
2 minutes.
uninterrupted?
Lie through your
I
teeth.
didn't interrupt his 2
Are you
minutes.
finished? Are you not?
I just want to show you guys that, and I know I don't need to prove it because I know you guys already know this, but let me go ahead and show it to you anyway. This is history of At-Tabari. And here, subsequently returned to. Okay, let's go to page 104. He mentioned page 104. Punishing him as an example, kill whomever you like. Okay, this is a Tabari, history of a Tabari, and burned down and some cut. Okay, had been. Okay, according to the shattered remnants of Ghatafin gathered at Zafar, Salama, Malik, the daughter of Malik, Hudayfa, the mother of Karfa. Okay. The apostle of God killed him on the day of sin, raided Medina. Okay. And and set her free. Okay, happened when she apostatized, fallen to Aisha. I'm looking for the part where it talks about him killing him. I'm not doubting that it's here. It's just okay, verily. Abu Bakr. You know, I'm looking at the page that he said, which is a Tabari, history of a Tabari, part 10, page 104. I believe that's what he said. I'm going to look just real closely to see what he said one more time to make sure I got the right page. And if I did have the right page, then it just means that, you know, sometimes when they translate them, they don't have the same page, same pages when it's translated into English. So
Okay,
You're
2
a
more
liar.
minutes.
That is a point of disagreement between Shias and Sunnis. In their polemics, Shia accused Khalid bin Walid of just not going through the waiting period before marrying his wife. Sunnis maintain that no, he waited.
Respected brothers and sisters, I want to draw your focus to a silent suffering that plagues many of
Through the waiting period
No, they did not.
before
Let him finish, let him
marrying.
finish.
So it wasn't a rape.
It was a rape. He
It
lived
was-
on his wife. You say he lived.
Yeah,
Tariq
this,
Tabari.
this is just Shia
Oh,
polemics.
please.
Oh, Tabari is Shia. Tariq Tabari.
Tabari sorts
Please.
sites from many different sources. It doesn't mean that's authentic.
It's not
or that it's
certified by the
verified.
Sunni.
If you want to find narrations in
Okay,
Tabari,
guys,
yes,
we need
Tabari
to-
is,
we need to have
is
some
a
sort-
Sunni Muslim, but
All
he
right.
cites from many different sources
All right, this
without that necessarily being
we're
authentic.
ending this.
It's
We're
a point
ending
of
this.
disagreement.
We're ending this topic. We're moving to the next one. We're moving to the next
So
one.
how
Lie
is that,
through
how
your
is that-
teeth.
how is
We're
that
moving-
fair that he gets to speak for
No, you
5
spoke for
minutes
2 minutes.
uninterrupted?
Lie through your
I
teeth.
didn't interrupt his 2
Are you
minutes.
finished? Are you not? Okay,
You're
2
a
more
liar.
minutes.
Yes.
Tabari take from Shia sources.
Emma,
Get out of here.
let him.
Baba, start a new topic. He named his son after a terrorist.
Do you have anything else to add?
he named his son Khalid, which is this terrorist.
Yeah, I mean, this is many Muslims name their children Khalid.
Yeah,
This is a very common name, and
It's not-
he's a respected
he's a terrorist.
Can I?
and
He's a
very
terrorist.
strong
Beheaded the
Muslim
guy.
leader, and he's recognized within Western history as well
No,
as being
he's
the
not.
most successful general
He's not successful. He's a
within
successful terrorist.
No, dear,
Muslim
we have to
history.
let him finish his
Successful
time.
terrorist.
He's lying at you.
I mean,
Yeah,
He's
but
he's lying to you.
But
He's
This is the way,
disappointed
this
in
is the
you.
way that someone
You're
will,
not even outraged. You're not outraged. He's telling you
This is how
this
I-
guy. He's praising a guy who's a terrorist who butchered
the
people.
way the way we can understand other people, even if we don't agree with them, is by listening to them. We can't just yell at them and get them.
I'm not
thinking.
yelling. Oh, I am yelling. I'm frustrated, but I'm not angry. I'm frustrated that he would
I can't.
justify. How can you justify? I don't understand. Don't give me your Harvard. You can never intellectually justify the fact that someone doesn't want to give you money. You go and you behead them and you take their wife, whether it be a waiting period of 10 years or 10 days. You can never justify that.
You are putting such a
Accusation.
polemical frame of it.
Oh,
that,
it's all
he
wrong.
wouldn't give
no.
Khalid bin Walid personal money. No, He was. This was something that was to
Next
maintain the
angels.
cohesion and the unity of the
They're all
new
angels.
Muslim state.
And
And
good
Right,
they made
right,
decisions
cut it
that
out,
was-
cut it out. Okay, cut it out. Then one thing we can do at the end is that if you have any written statement in response to this and you want to add, I'll put it in the description of this video. Okay. Okay. I'm going to ask a question. Can Islam be reformed? Who wants to go first? Do you want to go first?
Let him go first, since he's the reformist.
Islam will never be reformed,
All right.
to begin with.
Okay.
That's great to hear him say that.
Islam will never ever be reformed, because I simply believe that reformation of a religion is man-made, and Muslims, whether it be because of their culture or whether it be because of the traditional teachings or the atmosphere that they've grown up in, we have a united understanding that we can never accept what is not from God.
Yeah, right. And so anyway, but this is a real blow to those, because there's a lot of people who say that, like Christianity was reformed, with Martin Luther, with the Reformation, and that Islam can be reformed as well. And I've always said, which, who cares what I say, but I've always said, no, Islam cannot be reformed. It can be forsaken, but it cannot be reformed. Now, he says it cannot be forsaken. Okay. But it's good to hear him say it cannot be reformed. So if you got Islam in your country, it's going to be Islam. The same Islam that's in Indonesia, the same Islam that's in the Philippines, the same Islam that's in Saudi Arabia, same Islam that's in Iran. Okay. Islam is going to stay like it cannot be changed. Okay. And this guy's saying it.
So religion has to be from God. Religion can never be man-made and at the same time be accepted by the Muslims. So a reformation is basically introducing something that is man-made and trying to present it as though it's a religion or a belief system that exists, whereby it doesn't. So what do I believe in? I believe that Muslim individuals can liberate themselves from terrorist teachings and extremist fundamentalist ideologies, such as praising terrorists, such as this, and naming their children after terrorists.
Okay, let's not go back to
No, I'm not going back. But this is a good way to move forward. So this is how a Muslim can basically liberate.
You know what? There's a real famous rapper whose name is Khalid too. I think it's DJ Khalid. Anybody know him? Just so you know the history of his name. Like I said, it's a very popular name in the Muslim world. And yeah, DJ Khalid. Booming voice, catchphrases. Okay, so yeah, so he's a famous rapper who uses that name too.
His mind and liberate his family from corrupt teachings, which basically say you can name your son after a terrorist or name your daughter after a terrorist. It doesn't work like this. There are terrorist females in Islamic history.
Just for Sozo says, Christianity reformed, please. I'm talking about the Reformation. The Reformation that happened. This is when the Catholic Church was selling indulgences and and there was a lot of things going on there that wasn't right. And then there was a Martin Luther who said, he wrote, I think it's a 94 thesis, and he nailed it to the door of the church in Wittenberg in 1500 something. And that's called the Reformation. And that's the beginning of the Reformation, when there was a break from the Catholic Church and it started the Protestant movement. And so that's called the Reformation. So, and when you have Reformation in Christianity, you go back to the Sermon on the Mount. You go back to to what the Bible teaches, to the original teachings. Okay, but with Islam, if you go back to the original teachings, we're in trouble, because the original teachings are ISIS, are Al Qaeda. Okay, because that's what Muhammad taught.
So this is my stance on Islamic Reformation. The current reform movements that we see today are all a scam. They present a form of Islam that does not exist. There is no Islam that agrees 100% with the Constitution. There is no such teaching that came from Mecca that sits 100% with the laws of New York or the laws of America. Whether the American laws are 100% perfect or not, that's a different discussion. But we are speaking about an ideology and the current society that we have today. Is it compatible? It's not. Can there be a reformation? There can never be a reformation. Islam is not a religion that can be reformed. This is something we need to understand. Very simple. Why? One of the main factors why Islam cannot be reformed is because, one, its reformation would be man-made. Secondly, there is no actual governing Islamic body that tells it where to go. So if the church wanted to go through a period of reformation or enlightenment.
Okay, this is.
In fact,
Oh, sorry. Sorry, guys. I don't know how to get rid of these.
I'm a scholar. In fact, I'm an imam, and Muslim.
Okay.
Conquering over 53 countries, all of the terrorist Islamic caliphates, conquered and butchered. You're going to say conquests, or someone else might say conquest. It's not conquest. In the science of politics, it's invasion. You go and you rape and you kill and you take their riches, and then you go back because they're Jews or because they're Christians, and then you want to somehow justify this through the laws of war. It doesn't happen like that. Another issue is that these people are making their Islam, making Muslims less committed to Islam. There are more Muslims leaving Islam today than any other religion, and the brother in Atheist Republic can prove that to you. What ISIS has done will have more Muslims leave Islam than any foreign agenda can do. And if you want to say, oh, ISIS doesn't represent Islam, ISIS represents the exact Islam that took place in Mecca. And we have names of people that were victims of that ideology. Thank you.
Okay, we got to hear that again. Okay.
Foreign agenda can do. And if you want to say, oh, ISIS doesn't represent Islam, ISIS represents the exact Islam that took place in Mecca. And we have names of people that were victims of that ideology. Thank you.
Okay, so if I'm going to give you 5 minutes, but if you don't want me to interrupt you, both of you, don't make any
epistemology here. On the contention that Islam spread by the sword, I'm not going to try to deny that the influence of Islam was definitely spread through military conquest. And I mentioned Khalid ibn Walid and how he was one of the greatest generals, the greatest general within Islamic history. But there's this kind of understanding that violence is something that we have to denounce, and that we have to view religion as something that is violent in its essence, and this violence is what makes religion so dangerous.
No, violence is what was used to spread Islam. Yes, Jesus did not use violence. Okay.
I think that you, as an atheist, would agree with that kind of reasoning. Violence is something that has to be eradicated by force. Why? Because we have a legal religion, so we can have a debate on whether Islam is true or not. If you think that Islam is true, and you think that Islam is a true religion and it is from God.
I don't.
Then you do want to spread this. You want this to reach all corners of the globe, in the same way that a liberal person would think that racism and anti-racism is something that must be defended through force, or sexism is something that has to be eradicated. Misogyny is something that has to be eradicated. Anti-Semitism is something that has to be eradicated by force. Why? Because we have a legal regime that makes it that has high penalties for people who are racists, people who are misogynists, people who are violating these kinds of liberal norms, and people don't have any problem with that kind of enforcement. If I tell Armin, or I tell you that, oh, do you know that such and such society is mistreating its women and is misogynistic and abusing its women, shouldn't we do something about that? Shouldn't we go and change that society? by force, obviously they're not going to agree. That society is not going to agree and say, oh yeah, sure, just come into our country and reform and make us give up our misogynistic ways. No, you have to do that by force. But you think that that's justified because this is something that you agree as a good. You agree that this.
No, he's a liar. We don't do that. We don't do that by force. You don't go fight wars, to impose that on people.
This is something, and I agree too, that misogyny should be something that should be eradicated.
Misogyny is something that should be eradicated. Well, has he read what Muhammad said about women? That they're half, and naqisat aql wa deen, that they are deficient in intelligence? Did he know that Muhammad said women are like donkeys and dogs and cows because they can be ridden? Did he know that Muhammad compared women to Satan? Did he know that Muhammad said 2/3 of the people in hell are women?
Racism is something that should be eradicated.
Racism should be eradicated. And Muhammad said if anybody calls him black, they should be killed. Muhammad would sell 2 black slaves to trade them for 1 Arab slave.
We should not have a tolerance for racist, white supremacists.
Muhammad was the white supremacist. He was white. He liked white women. He was wanting to, I know that you guys have all seen the video by David Wood of how white Muhammad was. One time he showed his thigh to a guy, and it was just as white as, as a pearl, and then the other time they're talking about his, I believe it was his armpits, as it was just as white as anything. I mean, he was exceedingly white, okay? And he was very much against people saying that he was black. In fact, there was a death penalty for calling him black. That's how he felt about black people, besides calling them raisin heads. So you want to talk about eradicating racism? Look at everything Muhammad says, and Haqiqaju believes all the books about Muhammad, all the hadiths, whereas Sheikh Tawhidi doesn't.
Anti-Semitic kind of hatred.
Anti-Semitic? You should eradicate anti-Semitism? That's eradicating 1/4 of the Quran. There's so many verses in the Quran about Jews. They were made into monkeys and pigs, and that they, that the greatest enmity is with the Jews until the day of judgment. And the hadith about, there's a Jew behind me, come kill him. That's a hadith. The trees and rocks are going to say, there's a Jew behind me, come kill him. Yeah, is that how you eradicate anti-Semitism? By eradicating the Semites?
No, there's no place for this. And if you believe in that and you agree with me, then you'll also agree that there should be force and laws that penalize those and hold people accountable and take away their livelihood or imprison them physically, imprison them. That's a form of violence for violating the
Quran.
This is Pod 5, the first fully immersive sleep system. Intelligent.
Time a sheep eats it or a goat and all this.
Then I don't think we're going to get to any.
Okay. Yeah. The first question, very simple. Is the Quran perfect? The answer is clearly no, simply because according to the Sunni teachings, a goat and a sheep came and ate parts of it. So it can't be perfect in the sense it could be good enough, but it's not perfect, according to my understanding. This is how I see the world. If a book had verses in it and a goat came and ate from it, it cannot be perfect anymore. And according to the Shia belief, there are many things concerning the family of Prophet Muhammad that are not included in the Quran. There are rights of people that have been taken from the Quran. So both Muslim schools of thought, both denominations, don't have evidence that the Quran is in fact the way it is perfect 100%. It is not. There are verses in the Quran that Shias believe are supposed to be in a different place, such as parts in chapter 5, and there are also parts in chapter 33, especially verse 33. Many people believe that these verses of purification should be somewhere else in order to give a different context. The point is, the Quran, how it is, people can say all Muslim scholars agree. They don't all agree. There are many books written about tahrif al-Quran, the distortion of the Quran, and it's been proven throughout history that the Quran, one time a sheep eats it or a goat, and all this. So to me, no, I don't believe so. Secondly, when it comes to why I'm still a Muslim, you see, I've answered this before.
Okay, he's saying, I'll just tell you what he says. He says that it's part of his identity, and he says it's not something that you can leave. And and it's kind of like, yes, you can leave it, but we pray that you'll get a touch of the Holy Spirit to help him leave. So yeah, let me go.
Complete chapter dedicated to the difficulties of Shia Islam, which is the denomination that I come from. This is basically it. I do not support sectarian teachings at all, and I think
language of saying, "Oh, Islam is barbaric," has been used for all of these. I think that the Prophet, peace be upon him, his marriage to Aisha was at 9 years of age.
21.
So
now, okay, this is interesting right here. This is like, wow. Okay, this is really worth listening to.
Interrupt.
Yeah.
So you think that having sex with a 9-year-old is justified?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that
Let's just watch that. You know what? I need to videotape. That needs to be on TikTok. Where is it? That needs to be on TikTok. Let me see. Okay. Okay, I want to videotape that.
new, only less than 200 years old. And the idea is that when you have a kinship-based society and you have a certain lifespan, then children are expected to be contributing to the family. They're expected to contribute to society and to their community, because there's not a career that they're pursuing. There's not a need for a technical education that extends for 12, 14, 16 years.
I pause a little. Let me interrupt.
Yeah.
So you think that having sex with a 9-year-old is justified?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that so here, let me ask you a question. Okay, is the problem with
I'm asking you a question.
Well, I have to frame it. Okay, so if you have a problem with child marriage,
right?
Okay, so if we understand childhood,
okay,
society,
you guys, this Harvard gobbledygook that he says about children, it's painful to listen to it, but you know what? I think it's worth listening to here.
I'm 15. I called 988 and spoke to Mateo.
Islam can offer as a solution, my interlocutor said that what Islam can offer is like music and the arts. I think what Islam offers is the truth. Islam is the truth. It is the religion that has been revealed by God for the guidance of humanity. And that's something that we should discuss. These are the kinds of topics that should be discussed in media in calm, rational, measured ways. And I'm willing to discuss my reasoning for why Islam is the truth, and reasons and justifications and arguments for that claim. And that's something that I encourage others to investigate as well. And when we come to those parts of Islam that conflict with the modern world, we have to take a more academic perspective, and we have to understand, well,
more academic perspective. Yeah, boy, yeah. Is more academic. Yeah, boy, yeah.
What are these practices in context of a kinship-based society?
Kinship. He loves this kinship-based society, and he, just to kind of give you an idea what he's talking about there. He's saying that the wonderful thing about Islam is it gives us kinship-based society, because In America, you know, you get thrown into a kindergarten as soon as you're old enough, and then you're forced into this institution, and then you go to this institution, and then when you're old, you're put into that institution, and then people don't have you know, family, they don't have anything like that. And he's saying that's, you know, what Islam brings, the kinship. But then he throws I mean, just all flowery left-wing baloney. It's just
Prior to the nation state, what happened is that the nation state
a nation state. Oh my goodness.
structure within the beginnings of the 18th century and throughout the next 300 years.
He used this too when he did the thing with Robert Spencer and Brother Rashid. He started getting into these white supremacist imperialism type talk.
Was a structure that was characterized by bureaucracy, by technocratic industrialization, and by the enforcement of law through a very strong police state, surveillance state. And what the effect of all of this was to destroy kinship-based systems of life and living. And so what do I mean by this? In societies in the past, kinship structure meant that every aspect of life flowed through the structure of the family, the extended family businesses. You didn't have corporations. You didn't have a global national banking system. All of these kinds of economic activity, social activity, even governmental activity, education, childcare, elderly care, all happen in context of the extended family. What the state did was destroy all these kinds of relationships and institutionalize them.
You're not really responding to the question.
No, I am responding.
He says you're not responding to the question. Okay, now it gets really, you know, get your barf bags.
Because I have to get to that, that point.
Wait, you're running into it. Wait, go on. 5.
Okay, so if we understand that everything that the modern world has a problem with in terms of Islam, it also has a problem with all kinship-based societies. Let me address, for example, child marriage. Okay, the idea of childhood is actually a modern concept.
You guys, isn't that amazing? The idea of childhood is a modern concept. The idea of childhood is a modern concept. The idea of childhood is a modern concept. Yo boy, yay. Ilhaqni. Where the heck?
It's something that if you look at the anthropology of childhood.
Anthropology of childhood, you guys. That's where you're going to find this stuff.
Anthropologists will note that the idea of childhood is something that's very new. Only
childhood is something that's brand new, you guys. It never existed before. It just came about in America a few years ago.
Less than 200 years.
Oh, just 200 years
old. And the idea is that when you have a kinship-based society and you have a certain lifespan, then
lifespan, you better bring lifespan into it, okay?
Children are expected to be contributing to the family. They're expected to contribute to society and to their community because there's not a career that they're pursuing. There's not a need for a technical education that extends for 12, 14, 16 years.
I pause. Let me interrupt.
Yeah.
So you think that having sex with a 9-year-old is justified?
Therapy has always been such a scary idea to me because I simply did not know where to get started. I didn't know how to.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that the childhood, anthropologists will note that the idea of childhood is something that's very new, only less than 200 years old. And the idea is that when you have a kinship-based society and you have a certain lifespan, then children are expected to be contributing to the family. They're expected to contribute to society and to their community because there's not a career that they're pursuing. There's not a need for a technical education that extends for 12, 14, 16 years.
I pause. Let me interrupt.
Yeah.
So you think that having sex with a 9-year-old is justified?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that So here, let me ask you education that extends for 12, 14, 16 years.
Pause. Let me interrupt.
Yeah.
So you think that having sex with a 9-year-old is justified?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that so here, let me ask you a question. Okay. Is the problem with
I'm asking you a question.
Well, I have to frame it. Okay. So do you have a problem with
Look at Sheikh Tawhidi. He's laughing.
Child marriage?
They're both laughing.
Because you think it is categorically wrong, or is it because it's conditionally wrong?
Well, I'm asking.
Categorically wrong or conditionally wrong?
You the question.
Well, I want to understand what your understanding is, because I think that the Prophet, peace be upon him, his marriage to Aisha was at 9 years of age.
21.
So do you?
But now the Tawhidi, Sheikh Tawhidi is saying 21 because that's what some Shiites believe. Okay, but they don't believe the Sahih al-Bukhari. But what they believe about Aisha is way worse. It's way worse than what the Sunnis believe too. Aisha, man, she is like, I mean, they hang her out to dry, man. It's unbelievable. But
you think that I don't think that that's wrong. I can explain it and justify.
He doesn't think it's wrong, and he can justify it. Yo, boy, yay!
It, and I'm trying to give you the entire anthropological.
Oh, yeah, it's good to use big words like anthropological, a 6-syllable word. You gotta use 6-syllable words when you're trying to justify this. Okay.
Explanation.
Just anthropological explanation. Anthropological. How the heck?
Historical explanation of that, but like I said, it can't be done in 5 minutes.
So
I want to simplify it and say, do you think that this is categorically wrong, or is it conditionally wrong?
Categorically wrong. Like
okay, so if you think that it's categorically wrong to have those kinds of relationships, do you think that other kinds of sexual behavior can be categorically wrong?
As long as it harms somebody, as long as it
if you've mentioned harm, then it's not categorical. It's conditional based on harm.
But the category that you're introducing is a category that will be harmful in all situations in that category. That's
how can you if you specify that conditions, that's conditional. It's not categorical.
Okay, so let's move on to the next one.
You didn't really answer the question.
Yeah, because you want me to bring up like why. You want me to explain why it's not okay to have sex with a 9-year-old? Like
in a particular social context and a particular historical milieu.
I mean, to me,
yes, it can be something that is moral and it is acceptable. I can agree.
Yo, boy, yay! Yo, boy, moral. It's moral and acceptable. You guys, I'm sorry, I'm stuck here, man. I can't get out of this. This is a TikTok video. I know you guys have already seen this stuff, and for me, this is like, I can't believe this, man. Okay, so 54.
Additional based on
but the category that you're introducing is a category that will be harmful in all situations in that category. That's
how can you if you specify that conditions, that's conditional. It's not categorical.
Okay, so let's move on to the next one.
You didn't really answer the question.
Yeah, because you want me to bring up like why you want me to explain why it's not okay to have sex with a 9-year-old? Like
in a particular social context and a particular historical milieu.
I mean, to me,
yes, it can be something that is moral and it is acceptable. I can agree with you and say that within this particular context, if you take a 9-year-old who is still watching, Dora the Explorer, and it has, that kind of cultural background in the situation they were.
9-year-old? Like
in a particular social context and a particular historical milieu.
I mean, to me,
yes, it can be something that is moral and it is acceptable. I can agree with you and say that within this particular context, if you take a 9-year-old who is still watching, Dora the Explorer, and it has, that kind of cultural background in the situation they were.
Child, okay. You know what? I don't even care. I don't even give a rip what he says. So I'm going to just fast forward this. Okay, this is his explanation.
Completely different social circumstance in society.
That's not true because
child marriage, as you describe it,
Aisha was
the child. The word child is anachronistic.
If you're talking about,
if you want to talk about that, that's something that was practiced throughout history, across all religions, across all cultures. So the problem that you have is not with Islam, it's not with the Prophet Muhammad.
No, it is with Islam, and it's with the Prophet Muhammad, the alleged Prophet Muhammad.
It's a problem with all of the past.
No, it's not with all of the past. It's not with all of the past. It's with Muhammad.
Our Muslim brothers and sisters in Yemen are dying and in desperate need of your help. Without
you condemn all of the past. That's the problem with modern
rape. I condemn them all. And if you're thinking about the child mentality being different in different situations, remember that according to the Hadith, Aisha was playing with dolls right before Muhammad raped them.
You have 35-year-olds who play with dolls in this day and age. They're Star Wars fans, Star Trek fans. They have.
You guys hear that? Yeah, boy, yeah. Oh, yeah, Rossi. You have 35-year-olds who play with dolls. Star Wars. My goodness.
Action figures, they play with them.
Okay, you can rape them.
It's not rape. Okay,
It's not rape. It's not rape. Okay, let's see what Sheikh Tawhidi said there again. So.
In this day and age, they're Star Wars fans, Star Trek fans. They have action figures, they play with them.
Okay, you can rape them.
It's not rape. Okay, you just throw around the word rape whenever you want to, or terrorism, willy-nilly. I don't take the serious academic analysis.
If you want, we could dedicate another 5 minutes just to that. If you want after this, but I have other questions for you as well. But let me reset this. You mentioned that this is something we need to talk about. What the Muslim world need? What does the Muslim world need right now?
The Muslim world needs to realize that now we have extremists who are graduating from Harvard.
No, let's not do that.
Right?
Let's not do that.
Extremists who graduate from Harvard, and Harvard makes them more extremists, by the way, you guys. Just like London makes them more extremists, so does Harvard.
Before they used to,
because it gives them a new vocabulary, a very articulate vocabulary and style to present these ideas in a supposedly cogent way.
Dress in long, basic Islamic tradition like this, and you can identify that this is a guy who holds a certain ideology, but when he speaks, you can then understand where he's coming from. Now they're dressed in the suits and ties, and they come to university and try to academically justify that marrying a 9-year-old, although I don't believe it happened, because in my book I prove she was not 9. Although I look, we may disagree. I believe there was an even greater tragedy that the Muslim world is trying to hide, and the fact that she was not a virgin and she was an obscene woman. But we're not discussing her, Aisha. We're not discussing her. We're discussing the fact that you believe that it's okay to marry a 9-year-old because society is different. Society can develop and change as many times as it like. Marrying a 9-year-old will never be right. Don't give me this lunar year, whatever nonsense they come up with. Muhammad did not marry a 9-year-old. This is a lie. Yes, other 9-year-olds from Muhammad's family were married off. Yes, I agree. Other children were married off to companions. I agree. Muhammad himself did not marry a 9-year-old. This is a lie to hide a bigger secret. The fact that you try to purify Muhammad's image by pushing the age of his wife back to 6 or 9 or 15. You can't even agree on what age, because she wasn't a child. She was old, and she'd slept with half of Mecca before him. And people can disagree, but this is my analysis and my proven research that I challenge anyone to refute. It's in my book. And I'm happy to pull out her timeline now and prove.
Do you hear what he said? That Aisha, who had slept with half of Mecca,
to you that she could impossible. She would have been 9 years old. And also the timeline is in the book that I just released.
Not according to Sunni Islam, though.
No, not according to Sunni Islam.
I mean, according to Sunni Islam, she was 9.
Not all Sunnis. Not all Sunnis
in
believe.
Bukhari. It's right
Yes,
there.
Bukhari is not the only Sunni scholar.
But that's a Sahih.
There are many other Sahihs.
By the way, you guys, I know of. I mean, right now, in 3 minutes, I can pull up 13 hadiths that say she was 6, 7, or 9. She was 6 when, it was either 6 or 7 when she got married to Muhammad, 9 when he consummated. There's 9 hadiths at least, and I think there's hundreds more, but I know of at least 9 I could pull up right now that say she was 9 when it was consummated. There's no disagreement in the Sunni hadiths about when the marriage was consummated. It's always 9 years old.
He based his justification on the Quran not being perfect on Sahih Bukhari because it got a page that the Quran was written on. So how is that consistent? You're saying that.
So you guys want to talk about Aisha because I asked a different question.
No, wait, don't go back. I'm speaking to you based on your belief system. This is sacred to you, and the Quran is sacred to you.
No, Sahih Bukhari is not sacred.
It's not sacred anymore.
It is sacred, and there's many Muslims who think it's equal to the Quran. It's so sacred because it's the words of Muhammad, and his words are the words of Allah. Because he only spoke the words of Allah.
That text is just a compilation of narrations. They exist in many different texts.
Okay, so do you emulate these because they're holy doings?
The Quran and the Sunnah.
Okay,
the Sunnah
so
can be compiled in different books.
In PDF, in
yeah,
book.
So of
yes.
course it's Sahih. Of course I study.
I'm speaking about content. He's talking about paper and cardboard. I'm telling him Bukhari. He says it can be compiled in different formats.
All right, but this is
they're different. There's not just Sahih Bukhari.
Okay.
There's Sahih Muslim.
She was 9 according to most Islamic school of thought.
Yes, according to the majority of Muslims, she was 9. Yes.
And accepted Islamic schools of thought,
yes.
She was 9.
Yeah,
when she was
to the majority. Yes, to the majority, but not to all. Now, moving on with my time, it is absolutely wrong. I don't care what people say. He can give it an academic coating, all what he likes. Completely wrong. It can never be justified. No way can it be justified that marrying a 9-year-old is right. And these laws that you have in certain American states that allow a man to marry a child without her parents' consent, or 11 or 10 or 12, I don't know. There are numerous states. That's also wrong. That is
okay, but in America, the youngest in any state for a girl to marry is 16 years old. That's the youngest in all 50 states. Okay, there's no state where it's younger than 16 years old.
It's also wrong. And
you also disagree with
yes, I do.
11-year-olds going on having girlfriend, boyfriend, 10-year-olds, 9-year-olds having sex at the age of 9 with their boyfriend.
When they're 9 and 10 years old, having, he's saying they're having sex when they're 9 and 10 and 11 years old, but it's not with a 54-year-old man. It's wrong, but it's not with a 54-year-old man. But he's trying to compare that to what Muhammad did. They're desperate. They're
boyfriend. You agree with that?
I reject it. I don't allow.
You don't think elementary school children should have boyfriend, girlfriend?
No, I don't.
And have sex with each other because that's rampant in Australia, the US, the UK.
I condemn it because it's in Australia. It doesn't mean I agree with it.
Okay, so you condemn. So what's the line? When is it okay for people to start having sex?
Do you know
what age?
I'll tell you now. But do you know who brings these children, boyfriend, girlfriend, my body, your body things into our educational system and sex ed? Do you know who? Your allies, the allies of the Islamic extremists, the leftists, the globalists. They are the ones.
I'm not aligned with leftists.
No, they are aligned with.
He is. They are aligned with you, and that's true. It's like the gays for Palestine and the queers for Palestine, all that. It's like the Arabs aren't aligned with them. They hate them. They'll throw them off buildings, but they are aligned with the Muslims. Why? Because they perceive they have a common enemy in the Christians.
Love you. They
denounce me every day. Yeah.
They would love.
They denounce me and call me all the same kind of things that you call me.
No.
All right, my question was completely ignored. Though, what does the Muslim world need right now?
I said the Muslim world right now needs to be warned from people like him.
Okay.
Yeah, the Muslim world, according to some, needs the white savior to come and colonize and enlighten them.
The white savior to come colonize. Boy, this guy is totally Harvard. I mean, this is Harvard narrative, perfect Harvard narrative. And it's become Islamic, talking points. But this is total Harvard, total left-wing academia. This is what you pay, $100,000 to go to Harvard for, to learn this kind of talk.
The Muslims and teach the Muslims.
And by the way, President Trump today cut off all of Harvard's funding and told them you can't get any more foreign students because your university, first of all, is for Americans. And you have to let Americans in first because they're giving all the seats away to all these foreigners, and they come here, they learn everything from top education, for chemicals and bomb making and everything else, and then they go back to their country and use it over there. He's saying, no, we got to use it for our Americans here.
Okay, this is your 5 minutes. What does the Muslim world need right now?
The Muslim world needs for the West to leave it alone. That's what the Muslim world needs.
Okay, boy. Yeah, boy, yeah.
The Muslim world needs for the
Will the Muslim world leave the West alone? He says the Muslim world needs the West to leave it alone, but will the Muslim world leave the West alone? This is such baloney.
Of this kind of intervention and war and sanctions and intervention that has been taking place for over 200 years. That's what the Muslim world needs. The Muslim world needs to reject agents of Western powers
Can
who
you prove
are
it?
going to.
Can you prove I'm an agent?
Maybe one day.
Academic? Can you? Maybe one day. Yeah. Can you prove it?
Keep hiding your books. Let's just continue the question.
Can you prove it?
See, you just
Prove
did
what?
that again.
Can you prove I'm an agent?
No, I'm not claiming that I can prove it.
Then why do you say it?
Based on the kinds of things that you promote, and
like
the kinds
what?
of things you say, that Islam is a tragedy. That all Islam can offer the world is
Did I
music
say
and
Islam
art,
was a tragedy? Did I say Islam was a
that
tragedy?
the Quran is not perfect. That there's
wait, Armin, wait. Did I say Islam was a tragedy?
It's the title of your book.
The tragedy of Islam. It means Islam has a tragedy. And it's
Islam
you people.
has a tragedy.
And it's you people.
Yeah. So you could have said that the tragedy with Muslims today.
No, not necessarily. You need to ask me what does the title of your book mean, and I would explain that the tragedy of Islam is people like you. Now, can you prove I'm an agent?
No, I'm not going to say that.
No, you're not exactly. So don't say it.
I didn't say it. Did I say Imam Tawhidi is an agent?
Look at him.
Yes, he did.
No, I did
like
not
a
say
coward
that.
now, cowering.
No.
You said agents and now you say I'm not saying you're an agent.
Yeah, I didn't say that you are an agent, but
All right, go with your 5 minutes.
Look, this
There
is
are
his
agents
type of
of-
people.
You did
when they
this
are
is what you did. You
when-
pointed at him when
Yeah.
you said the word agent.
yeah,
They
he's calling me a
can't.
terrorist, dude.
Of course,
He's calling me a terrorist.
I never called you a terrorist.
What can be? Look at where we
I
are.
did not call you a
Accusing
terrorist.
someone of being a
I
terrorist
didn't call you a
can have
terrorist.
extreme ramifications for me and my family.
I never called you a terrorist.
We're living
we
in,
have the tapes. Don't lie. We have the. I never
You
called you a
didn't call
terrorist.
me a terrorist.
I called you an
didn't say
extremist,
me-
supporter and lover of terrorists who named his son after a terrorist. Yes, and if you don't like
it's
it,
something
file a
very
lawsuit.
extremely inflammatory to call someone a terrorist. I'm just implying that there are certain people who may be getting a stipend, a monthly paycheck from certain kinds of sources to say
Don't
the kinds of things that they say about Islam,
Yeah.
and
Don't
about
assume
terrorism.
people
and
If you
Extremism
cannot
extremism and
prove
so
it,
forth.
if
Can
you
you-
can't prove it, don't imply it.
Yeah, let's focus on the question. What does the Muslim world need right now? Do you think you answered that? Or
So I mentioned the biggest issue that.
Okay, I'm just going to go forward, you guys, through this. I know we've been on for an hour here, so I'm just going to go fast forward. There's a couple of places here where they say some things that I think is kind of interesting.
That's facing the Muslim world today.
What we see now, they influence the educational curriculums. Many students from the Middle East can then travel, and vice versa. They travel to each other's countries. So I will.
nasty shit, nasty stuff. But compared to other empires before it, it was a mild version of the crimes that they committed. But anyway,
Daniel Haqiqaju was on the victim train. He was totally on the victim train. the Western cultures come and they bomb and they do this and they war and they that essentially all of the problem is because of the West. One question that he needs to ask himself is, why did Allah make the West so strong that it could do all of this? Why is the West ascendant? He doesn't ask that question.
Even
though the Quran says it.
I want to answer your question.
I didn't say they didn't.
3 million.
But let him answer.
With regards to intervention, I agree that intervention needs to stop. It's terrible. We haven't seen anything good from Western governments interfering in Iraq or Afghanistan or Syria. But I do believe that we need to take a look at the different types of interventions. Don't forget, there's a large minority of people within the Middle East that do want America to come and save them from their government. And we see that in the protests and the chants that take place recently in the Iranian uprisings. There is a large group of Muslims, even though there are small countries such as the UAE and so on, Oman and Kuwait. They want relations with America. They love the British. Their rulers have homes and castles and amazing properties in the Western world, and they come regularly. Even theocrats, they send their children, like the Iranian regime, to study in America and gain citizenship. So there is a level of intervention that is actually welcomed by the Muslims in Muslim countries. And that basically means come, bring your trade, bring your economy, bring your art, bring your, what goods do you have? Take our carpets, let's have this ongoing relation with the Western world, no problem. And there could be some sort of intervention as well when it comes to counterterrorism, when it comes to national security. There should be a level where Western governments and their intelligence services should be able to interfere in the countries of other people in order to prevent a terrorist attack. Now, I did not plan on mentioning this, but I have to. The Israeli Mossad recently went and notified the Australian government about a terrorist plot that was going to take place. I think it was in an airport or an aeroplane. And the Australian government was very open about this. It was all over the media that, hey, there was actually a government that had somehow intervened in our situation. And the same happens with the British and the Americans when, Australia had, throughout its history, many governments tried to come and take over, and then you've had intervention. So when it comes to military intervention, we need to differentiate between moving to the Middle East in order to destroy it, bring out its government, establish a government that we like, and then, take its resources and riches and so on. I don't agree with that. However, there are interventions that the people themselves want. There are good and positive interventions. And, when a government comes from the West, what we see now, they influence the educational curriculums. Many students
in front of the television because they don't have any family to check up on them and ask them how they're doing. For a jingoism where to that kind of existence.
In an age where your work and where you work maybe 1 hour, 10 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours away from where you are, people used to go to war. As a barbarian, the Persian thought that they're the superior race. Every
symbol of the overall condition that we're suffering. I think it's in Surah Al-Dhariyat.
Okay. All right, you guys. You know what? I think that's...
I'm not sure. It's a very famous verse.
What's the translation?
I think that, those are kind of the main points that, really wanted to get to, and to kind of just show that, wow, dude, the stuff that this guy said, the stuff that this guy says, and you know what, the class, I know nothing compares to this, man, but, let me go here. Okay. Okay.
Let me try. So you think that having sex with a 9-year-old is justified?
Yeah, I mean,
Let me try. So you think that having sex with a 9-year-old is justified?
yeah, I mean,
Let me try. So you think that having sex with a 9-year-old is justified?
yeah, I mean,
Let me try. So you think that
Okay.
do you want me to bring up like why? You want me to explain why it's okay, why it's not okay to have sex with a 9-year-old? Like
in a particular social context and a particular historical milieu,
I mean, to me that
yes, it can be something that is moral and it is acceptable.
Do you want me to bring up like why? You want me to explain?
Dang. Dang. With take our carpets. I know. I thought that was funny too. I do think that he. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of that girl. Who was that girl who was doing a live stream, and he was doing a live stream, and then she got threatened she's Muslim, and she got threatened by Muslims for doing a live stream about the Pakistani men and about the grooming gangs and stuff like that. What was her name? Shoot, what was her name? I can't remember her name, but there was a big thing, and David Wood did a big fundraiser for Lubna. Yes, Lubna. And also Aisha, the one that with Muhammad hijab, who has been exposing Muhammad hijab. And also the guy Suleiman, the guy who does Behind Veils. And what's similar with them and with Sheikh Tawhidi here is that they all see the problems. They all see the problems, and yet they stay defending Islam. They continue defending Islam in spite of all of that. And so, it's just like, dude, they, if you're going to stay in there and you're going to continue to defend Islam, now, you know what? I kind of think that he is a closet Christian. And I know I probably get in trouble with him, but I don't hear him saying enough stuff that convinces me that he's not a closet Christian. I mean, it's like nothing he says convinces me that he's not a closet Christian. And so until I see more evidence, I'm going to continue to believe it. So anyway, you guys, well, do we have any Muslims here? If there's any Muslims who would like to come on, let me go ahead and put an invite if you'd like to come on. I know last night we had a Muslim or someone who was considering Islam. Yes, I am wish thinking. Yeah, whoever leaves his religion, unalive him for sure. That's what Muhammad said. And so they are afraid. I know, believe me. And yeah, but like I was telling the story yesterday that I have a friend in Gaza, and his uncle was a sheikh, and he was leader in the mosque for many years, and then on his deathbed, right before he died, everybody, because before he died, he's supposed to say the shahada before he dies, so he goes, make sure he goes to Jannah. And so he's had all his hundreds of relatives around him, and all of them are waiting for him to say the shahada before he dies. And he says, there's no God but Allah, and Jesus is his son. And then he died. And so for years he was secret, because if he came out, he would have been killed. He's a leader in the mosque, and he was a believer. So he was probably planting the seeds of the gospel in that community. So yes, if we were to give, in terms of debate, the imam was definitely the superior debater, one with a clear mind, and pray that it'll come to the Lord in Jesus' name. I mean, that's really the stuff he was saying. When you hear it coming from a Muslim, it's really different. And so, all right, you guys. Well, if we don't have any Muslims who want to come on, I'm going to play one of my songs for you. I'm going to just play you the video, actually, and then we'll call it a night. So I appreciate you guys hanging out here, and okay, this is one of my songs that I wrote.
Now I can see how you were there, watching over me, shepherd of the sheep you guided, gave your life for me. It's getting so much clearer now, though it was there all the time, that to save a single lost sheep, you would leave the 99, shepherd of love, shepherd of love. How the pieces come together in your mighty hand. Looking back, I see your footprints in the sand. It's getting so much clearer now, though it was there all the time, that to save a single lost sheep, you would leave the 99, shepherd of love, shepherd of love, shepherd of love, shepherd of love.
If you have ever wondered why dull apologists lie so much, it's because on a rare occasion that they tell the truth, this happens.
One of the reasons I accepted Islam was the scientific miracles. I'll be honest with you. And now we know that this whole scientific miracles was absolute nonsense.
You're going to have to repeat that.
Now we that the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say.